Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Keeping Kinnards. Today we're going to talk about how we homeschool preschool. Now, before we get into this, I want to just cover our bases and say that preschool is a very controversial and touchy subject. Everybody thinks that preschool should start at a different age. People think that preschool should not be a thing. People think that it's mandatory that all their kids go to preschool. If they're homeschooling, preschool is necessary, blah, blah, blah. There's so many opinions out there on preschool. So I just want to say that this is our personal family belief. This is what we do and how we preschool. If you have an issue with it, I'm sorry. If you disagree, awesome. I'd love to hear your input in the comments down below. But let's get started on how we do preschool. Okay, so as a homeschooling parent, my goal is always to teach my kids a love of learning. It's never to have my kid be the best at calculus or have my kid be able to write a novel at age 5. My goal is to teach our kids to love learning, to problem solve, to have basic life skills, because these are the things that are going to not only carry them through life, but these are the things that are going to help them. When they love learning, they will constantly be looking for new things to learn. There will always be something exciting about what they're learning. And if there is not something exciting about what they're learning right now, problem solving and due diligence, those are things that we want to instill in our kids and in our students, which obviously those intertwine. So that being said, we don't typically do like a page book curriculum until the kids are a little bit older, like 5 or 6. And here's why. Okay, so there are a few reasons why we don't do book curriculum. First is that when you think about preschool or pre-K, you're preparing your child to go to kindergarten. Kindergarten now has checklists of things that you need to know in order to go to kindergarten. Your ABCs, numbers up to a certain number, just shapes, colors, all this stuff, right? So when you're homeschooling, you have the discretion of what your child is going to learn. Now, because we don't start kindergarten right at 5, right at 6, or we don't base our children off grades, we base them off of skills. It's not necessary for our kids to do preschool or pre-K because they are not preparing to go into actual public kindergarten. Another point is that play-based learning, and the things I'm going to say, there are many studies. You can look it up on Google, on the internet. There's so many studies out there that support this, and that's where I have received my information. I'm not going to link a bunch because there's just too many out there, but you guys can go look them up if you want. There are so many studies out there that say that children, especially boys, do better with not only being in nature and being outside and not being housed in a classroom at a desk for hours and hours a day, but play-based learning is actually in the young ages, like between 3 and 6, is actually more beneficial for kids than sitting down at a table doing bookwork. So that is my primary focus, is play-based learning. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be like, we're never going to do a worksheet. My kids are never going to write. Even though there are also studies that show that children have issues holding pencils until they're older because their bones in their hands are not properly formed yet in order to hold a pencil, I think until 7 or 8. Don't quote me on that. But so play-based learning is where we spend most of our time. This is where my kids learn things like problem solving. They learn how to share. They learn how to identify their role in their game. They learn just all kinds of things. So play-based learning is where we put our primary focus in our kids. If you have a preschool age kid, I would also recommend either you doing some type of physical reading with them or taking them to like a story time at the library or making your own story time with your friends. When you're reading aloud to a student, especially in the younger years, you can definitely see them connecting the dots. Like, oh, this picture has this girl running, and then you can show them on the page, R-U-N is run, and sound it out. They can not only see the letters, but they can also hear. They can feel the pictures and the pages. It's all about, like I said, about the senses. If you came here for some curriculum recommendations, you might be disappointed. So sorry. So we focus on play-based learning. The next thing we focus on is skills. So teaching our kids how to do chores is not only great for their brains and for their handiness and their learning how to manipulate things, but it also teaches them responsibility. It teaches them due diligence. It teaches them loyalty. I could go on and on. So we want to teach our kids skills. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to make my 4-year-old vacuum the living room. No, you want to teach them skills at their level. Can my 4-year-old bring dishes over to the sink from the table? Absolutely. And that teaches her skills. If you think about going to the table, okay, she's going to the table, she's going to stack up all the dishes. That is so kinesthetic learning, trying to stack everything up. And you would see kids doing that in like regular preschools too, where they're learning how to build and problem solve. Oh, this bowl doesn't fit on this plate, and what have you. So that is one thing we learn, or we teach our kids. If you're going to do a preschool curriculum, I highly recommend something that has some form of tangible and kinesthetic learning with it, whether that be using a pencil, using markers, using finger paints, learning how to shape Play-Doh in the form of a letter, learning how to count blueberries, things like that. That has some type of physical aspect to it, not just a worksheet that your kids are writing down or filling out, because what you're doing is you're teaching them their letters and their numbers and their shapes and their colors, but they're just learning that this is what's on the paper. They're not learning that, oh, well, this ball is also a circle. They're not learning the shape of the ball because the picture on the paper is flat. They don't get to touch it. They don't get to use all their 5 senses, and that's so important for preschool age kids. So if you're going to use a curriculum, I recommend something like the Peaceful Preschool from the Peaceful Press. I can't think of another one right now, but that's the one that we are going to use with our girls. Amelia's going to be 5 coming up in September, so we are going to introduce that to her. And then obviously Sophie's only going to be 4 in October. So if she wants to join in, she's free to, but I'm not going to force her. But the Peaceful Preschool has, rhymes, and you do go over letters and numbers, but then they, instead of just writing, oh, let's write A 5 times and learn how to write it, it wants you to identify that A is apple, and then you find an apple and you count all the apple seeds, and then you do Play-Doh in the shape of an A. It's very associative to not only this is what I'm learning, but these objects in my real life also relate to what I'm learning, and I just love that about it. Okay, so the last point I want to make is that everybody has their own opinion, and it's very hard in today's society to be a homeschooling parent, because you not only have your opinion, but you have your families, you have the internets, you have the school district. Everybody's opinion is fostered into your decisions, and it's really easy to just say, oh, I need to do this, oh, I need to do that because XYZ, or because this person said so. And I want to tell you that you are your child's parent. You know them best. You're going to make the best decisions for them, whether that be to do worksheets, whether that be to do activities, whether you don't do anything until age 7 or whatever. You are going to make the best decisions. Sometimes I can't use words. But so it doesn't matter what age you teach your letters to your students, or what age you teach letter sounds to your students. If they are not ready, they will not get it. And I know this from personal experience. I tried to teach Jonah letter sounds and reading and all that at 5 because I felt the pressure of society and to make sure everybody's on target of where public school is. Jonah's going to be 8, and he is not a struggling reader, but he's just grasping things that, you would expect like a first grader to do. I don't know, or whatever. But your student is going to read whenever they're ready. If you think about public school students, yeah, they teach them reading, but because all these students are being fostered into this classroom. If a student doesn't understand letter sounds, if a student doesn't can't catch up with where everybody is reading wise, they're going to fall behind, and then they're going to need extra help. And you see this very frequently, especially in kindergarten, first grade, that these students don't know how to read because they're not ready, and then they have to have extra help, and it's extra work, and it's just taking away from all of their kinesthetic and play-based learning. So if you think your student's ready, great, give it a try. If it utterly fails, it's okay. Just keep going, take a break, go make some Play-Doh, make some cookies, come back to it in 6 months. They will get it when they're ready. So, okay, so that's my spiel about reading and preschool and all the younger years. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. If you have any questions, let me know. If you need suggestions for activities or curriculum or whatever, I am always here. If this was helpful, please also hit the like button so that I know that these things are helping you guys, because I don't want to make things, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste my time because I'm busy, but I don't want to make these things if they're not helpful. So I hope you guys have a great, I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday evening. Oh, it's Thursday when you're watching this. I hope you have a great Thursday, and I'll see you next time.